Hello, and welcome back to Make It Yappen. Yeah, I'm Bethany, and this is Siân.
Hello.
Siân, babe, what is your advice for the week?
Well, my advice for the week is, I know self-deprecation is funny, but don't overdo it, and you do actually need to tell yourself what you like about yourself on a regular basis.
That is very lovely, actually. Yeah, I think people do forget to do that. It's all very good, well and good, making jokes, but...
Yeah, love yourself, babe.
Love yourself.
You know? And what's your advice for the week, Bethany?
Listen.
Oh, God.
Sometimes you batter your bings. Other times, your bings batter you. That is just how life is. However, you can always batter boom and swing right back.
I fucking hate you. It's all...
Should we get into it then?
Yeah, let's get into it. God.
So, we've both watched Adolescence this week.
Yes. What a watch that was.
Yeah. What did you think of it?
Honestly, mate, heavy. I was thoroughly impressed with the whole thing, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
That one-shot thing was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
But it was bloody heavy.
It was, yeah. I think in particular, for me, the third episode definitely got to me the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
Just seeing how, I think, easily impressionable some boys can be. I mean, it's a completely different environment, I think, that young men are now growing up in versus, when we were younger. Because obviously, sexism, it's not a new thing.
No, definitely not.
But it's definitely, there are definitely new ways that it's being, I guess, marketed and sold to very, impressionable people. So I guess the thing that we want to focus on today is not necessarily incels, but, alt-right narratives about men.
Yeah.
And women.
Yeah. I think, looking at, especially in that third episode, with the therapist, what was very interesting about it was there were themes in his behaviour that I absolutely recognised from when I was at school.
Yeah.
From the lads I went to school with.
Yeah.
But witnessing it in this day and age and how that has evolved was terrifying.
Yeah.
It was scary enough back then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Boys were scary enough back then.
Yeah, they were.
But that was unbelievable. Because even in the way, from the first episode, there was always that seed of doubt in your mind that he'd actually was capable of anything like that because he was such a young lad. But then in the third one, when you started to really see how that manipulation turned at a moment's notice, was horribly familiar, but also a lot more evolved than it used to be.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that we know where that comes from.
Yeah.
And I think that it is the kind of media that is consumed now.
Yeah.
That's so readily available.
Yeah. I mean, I think the preface that probably me and you kind of want to go into this episode with is that, I mean, I think we both understand that when we're having this conversation, both of us are probably be coming at it from a biased angle. But that doesn't necessarily mean that whilst we might not have a man on the podcast right now having this discussion with us, it doesn't mean that neither of us want to exclude men from this narrative. I really hope...
We want the opposite.
Yeah, that men listen to this. Not because I'm trying to tell you what to do or anything like that, but I think it's just... It's so interesting the way that alt-right narratives are being fed to more impressionable young men or young boys that will become men.
Yeah.
And even young women or young girls who will become women. There
is an alt-right media that focuses on them as well, which is a lot more subtle and equally as scary.
Yeah, I'd say so, because obviously the focus of Adolescence was this guy who, like, it's not a spoiler if you haven't seen it, but basically in the first episode, a young boy of 13, is he 13?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kills one of his classmates, a girl. And I think it's to do... that my impression is, or what I've gathered from it, is that he tried it on with her, or... it was in episode 3, isn't it? He says that, like, a photo went round of her, and he'd seen it, and that obviously she was embarrassed by it, and that he then asked her out because he knew that she was at her weakest point, and that the belief is that she might say yes to him. And then I think after
because he felt himself unworthy of, or unable to attain a girlfriend, unless she was in a vulnerable state, because he had a low self-esteem.
Yeah, forgetting the fact that he's a child.
Yeah,
you know, he's
a
13.
literal child.
Yeah, it's very normal for 13-year-olds to not have partners.
Yeah,
because they're children.
Yeah, please don't have one.
Please don't do that. But yeah, so you find out in the first episode that he kills her, and I guess like the rest of the episodes are framed around like the effects that had on the school and what's happening at the school, the relationship between him and his therapist, after he's been like it's pre-trial, isn't it? It's her like assessing what his mental state is before his trial.
Yeah, he's been held, isn't he, in a facility?
Yeah, and then the last episode goes into detail about the family and what the effects are on his family, because it's obviously very easy to blame the parents. And the whole thing is really interesting because it's kind of brought up... I think it's opened up a lot of conversations in households, particularly those between parents and, I guess, like, children who are getting to that age, boys and girls. But also, like, I've definitely had conversations, like we're having now, with friends and stuff, just about, like, the attitudes towards women, I think, and how it's changing and evolving over time. We have a completely new set of, like, I say in quotation marks, role models for men, or again boys. I keep calling them men, but they're boys.
Yeah.
But I guess even men watch them too, and I can't deny the fact that even though there's probably men out there who should know better, this particular form of like alt-right media really taps into men with low self-esteem.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is a lot more men than you think.
It is. And I think that the main theme there is weaponising that low self-esteem, and try, in a false way, trying to use that to gain a sense of a higher self-esteem by hating women. Now, that is such a warped view of reality.
Yeah.
And I know that I understand in a way that if you're at a really low point in your life, you need something to hate to get through it.
Yeah.
That can take any form, throughout your life. But that is such a toxic way to go about it, because your issues are not going to be solved by blaming somebody else for them.
No, I guess it's like the lack of responsibility taken. But the thing is that it pushes narratives into particularly like young boys' heads that they might not have even thought of. It does exploit like low self-esteem. So it sucks so bad, because the eventual consequence is, I guess, like more violence towards women.
Yeah, it's just a deep-seated hatred.
And it's really difficult to sit here and talk about it from an unbiased point of view, or a not angry point of view.
Yeah. Because,
like, when you and every woman you know has been a victim at some point of male-instigated violence, it's so hard to have empathy or even want to help solve the problem, because you just think, why the fuck should I? It's not my responsibility. I just wish that, like, it's just got to stop happening, but it's not that fucking simple.
No. I feel like on one side of the coin, why should I be responsible for something that is not my problem, not something that I did not cause, something that I'm suffering because of.
Yeah.
But then on the other side of the coin, it's that much of a complex issue that it's going to take a group effort to change that.
Yeah.
That means all of us.
Yeah.
Men, women, everybody in between and outside of.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of us.
Yeah. So, I think, like, the only thing I can ask, I guess, when you listen to this episode is just give us, like, lend us an ear. Which, I mean, I guess you are because you're listening to the podcast. But in the sense of, like, if you get, like, if you feel like what I've said or maybe something that Sian said is, like, completely inflammatory, just hang on, because it's not meant to be.
No.
It's just that, obviously, we have our own inherent biases.
Yeah, because of our own experiences, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that I speak for every woman either when I'm doing this, like, when we're talking about it.
No, this is simply mine and Beth's life experiences, but what we will try and do, no matter what's said here, what we will try and do is look at all sides of this.
Yeah.
And try and give it its due, even though it is an incredibly difficult topic.
Yeah. I can't turn around and say it's completely black and white and that at the end of the day men should just stop, being violent towards women. Yes, at the end of the day men should stop being violent towards women, but the causation of that, it is so many different there's so many different factors.
You've got to get to the root before you dig out the weed at the end of the day. So
yeah. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time discussing who the current, like, alt-right male influencers are.
Yeah, I think we know who they are.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in giving them airtime.
Yeah, fucking rat bastards.
Yeah, absolute rat bastards.
Because at one point I was thinking on this episode that we would, like, discuss specifically who they are. But you know what, like, you don't... Not that you don't need to know, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
A quick Google search will tell you if you don't.
Yeah. So I think if you are, for example, a parent and you're a parent of a young boy, I think just be incredibly mindful of, like, the media that you're consuming, but also you've still got to give them that, like, privacy and space, otherwise they will end up, like, resenting.
They will resent you and they'll lash back anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
any kid would do that.
Yeah. I think you've just got to keep having, like, open conversations.
I think even being a parent of a young girl, just being also mindful of what they're consuming as well.
Yeah.
Because that is so much more subtle.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah. I mean, we were having the discussion about how the subtlety of alt-right content for women is in some way, like, incredibly sinister. I mean, for example, right, it's very easy to get lost down a bit of an alt-right rabbit hole for women, because alt-right rabbit holes for women is all about probably reinforcing gender norms.
Yeah.
It's traditional or trad wife
content.
Yeah. So, for example, like I consume a lot of cooking videos, as you can imagine. Love food.
Hell yeah.
But there are certain content creators on TikTok or Instagram Reels or whatever, for example, who create content that is around not just cooking food, but, like, cooking for the purpose of serving a man. Now, that content has actually never appeared on my feed, but it's probably because the algorithm probably recognises that I would reject that entirely. Because all I get is, like, cute little cooking videos. But again, like, if you're...
More recipe video than cooking video, though, right?
Yeah, more recipe video than cooking video. But if you're, like, young and impressionable and you're finding out what your interests are and stuff, and the algorithm suggests you that, it's quite easy to consume media that you don't realise is subconsciously sending you another message to maybe cook for your man, serve your man, or there's other stuff that's like, I guess like, I can't think of an example, like clean eating, or clean beauty and using clean ingredients, natural ingredients.
Yeah.
That is a real slippery slope for stuff like distrusting big pharmacy stuff.
Yeah.
Anti-vax content.
Yep.
You
Also,
know.
like a rejection of self-expression. It's all very like beige, organic looking, very everything's linen. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're allowed to wear a top with a fucking gem on it. Like, chill out.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're allowed to be a bit louder in the way that you express yourself.
PLT's rebrand is the first thing that comes to mind.
Very, very, like...
old money, like...
just very, like, dulled down.
Everything's beige.
Yeah.
But, like, not in...
It's not bright, it's not loud, it's not expressive. It's demure, isn't it?
It's demure. It's
that in itself is such a harking back, is such a right-wing point of view of what a woman should be. Soft, quiet.
Feminine,
useful.
Yeah.
Around the house.
Yeah.
Shit like that, no babe.
Yeah.
No. And that is all of that is in messaging towards young lasses.
Yeah. Because the thing is...
and it's just as dangerous.
Yeah.
In fact, potentially scarier.
Yeah.
Because it's not overt, it's not clear what they're saying.
No.
But it's there.
Yeah.
Whereas with alt-right content for young lads...
yeah.
it is so aggressive.
Yeah, basically what they both fundamentally do is reinforce gender norms. Like, the woman is a woman, the man is a man.
Which is just insane.
Which, like, there's so... like, I'll always say it, that gender's a spectrum.
Yeah.
100%. And self-expression of gender is a huge spectrum. And also, just on a side note, like... you know, I couldn't dress in any of that old money shit because I genuinely would look like I'm wearing a potato sack.
Oh, big time, mate.
Beige does not look good on me.
No.
Not old money, more like old...
burlap sack. Is what... sack of tatties.
Burlap sack.
This clean shit, by the way, is not meant for big girls.
No, it's not.
I had a look and I was like, no.
But that's, again, it's another form of... that's alt-right messaging. It's putting a moral superiority on thinness.
Yeah, body image as well.
And body image.
It encapsulates so much stuff.
Yeah.
That it can really fuck up an impressionable mind. And that's what we're going to really focus on.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess in, like, the first episode of Adolescence, the whole way through it, it was something that we both picked up on. He's saying he didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Not that he didn't do it, he didn't do anything wrong.
He keeps saying it over and over again as well.
Which is really interesting because it's not a mindset that I can ever get to, thinking that killing another human being, for whatever reason, isn't wrong. Even if I felt justified in what I was doing. I could still...
I can understand some extreme scenarios.
Yeah.
In which it can be justified.
But you still know it's wrong.
You still know that it's wrong.
Yeah. So, like, for him to get to that, I guess mindset was mind-boggling to me. But obviously, like, by the third episode when he's speaking about it with his therapist...
yeah. I think actually, upon reflection, I think there's only one time where he does actually outright lie.
Oh, when he's talking to his dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his dad said, I'll ask you once. And he said... and he shook his head, but he didn't say it, I don't think.
He said, because he went, promise me you didn't do it, and he would promise.
Yeah. And he was just shaking his head when he's... yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which, again, is a very kid behaviour, isn't it? Like, I think that just reflects,
very childlike,
like... yeah, how old he is, because he's only 13. But I guess in terms of the point that I'm trying to make, is that it's interesting that he felt justified in his actions.
Yeah.
Which again, it's explored more in episode 3. He says something to his therapist that's along the lines of, you know, I could have done more to her, you know, but I'm a lot better than the other lads. Basically, that he could have had his way with her, but he didn't, and that makes him better.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. That makes him a gentleman. Not that he's fucking killed her or anything like that.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
But you know, he could have raped her. But you know, he's a saint for not doing that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really heavy episode.
Yeah, it was.
But it's interesting because I do know men that are like that because they'll do horrible shit to women, but because they don't take it one step further, all of a sudden it makes them feel justified in their own mind. Oh, it's like that fucking... Would you rather be in a room alone with a bear or a man?
Yeah.
And choosing the bear every time.
Every fucker's choosing the bear.
The bear doesn't get enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
The bear doesn't film it and send it to his friends.
Yeah. And this is why I think, like, obviously, again, just acknowledging the fact that, yes, we are 2 women in a room discussing this.
Yeah.
And we know where the it's all men argument comes from, and it's because it's so many of them that it's hard to know which of them it isn't.
Yeah.
That's why everyone says it's all men. However, it is important to acknowledge, especially on this episode, that as hard as it can be to believe at times, it's not. It isn't all men.
No, it isn't.
I mean, we're very lucky in that we have men in our lives who are fucking decent human beings.
Yeah,
really decent human beings. They understand both sides of this argument.
Yeah.
They, you know, they've always acknowledged the suffering that their female counterparts have been through. Yeah. And they hate it as much as we do.
I think it's also important to say that the difference, I think, in male action for me is the difference between male action and male inaction, in the sense of, I know that if I was with some of the guys, if we were on a night out and something happened to me or was about to happen to me, they'd step in. Whereas some men think that because they're not doing anything wrong, or they're not attacking women, for example, which bare minimum, thank you very much, but because they're not doing anything bad, that they must be doing something good because they've not done anything wrong, right?
Yeah.
But, like, doing nothing is worth nothing. Like, it doesn't help. It's not being part of the solution, like, at all. If you want to be part of the solution, you've got to, like, step up.
There's that. I've just thought, I'm very quickly going to Google it. There's that Desmond Tutu quote that really fits this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He said, if you're neutral in situations of injustice, you've chosen the side of the oppressor.
Which is true. Like, you can't just sit there and be like, well, if I'm not part of the problem, so I must be part of the solution. Which,
no, it works. Bad.
No.
It's not.
No.
I'm afraid not.
It is not.
If you see something...
If you see something, say something.
Don't.
BTP.
See it, say it, sorted. Fuck off.
But yeah, like I said, that general attitude towards women was just really, really interesting, the way that he felt justified. But it then goes into, on the second episode, about the fact that he's an incel, right? And all the kids are talking about being an incel, right? He's 13.
Yeah, babe. That's not involuntary celibate. That's just being celibate because you're a fucking child. Just saying.
It's not funny. I'm laughing, but it's not funny.
It's not funny. It's not, the opposite.
Because that is, I guess, like...
It's disbelief. It's a laugh of disbelief because...
Yeah.
It's upsetting that children are thinking that way so early.
I mean, I hope that it's... Obviously, this is dramatisation.
Yeah.
The whole thing. But, like, I'm hoping that that's not how children are actually feeling.
I know.
That they should be fucking at 13.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a horrifying world. I can't imagine being a young kid now.
No.
I really do feel sorry for them.
Like, because obviously, the most that you get when we were kids, I think, is someone being like, oh, virgin.
Yeah, I mean, there were sinister things that happened when we were kids, but it wasn't, doesn't appear to be as rife as it is now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is or not, because I'm childless, thank fuck.
Yeah.
But I did actually look at Jared when we were watching this,
and
I went, this is fucking great birth control, this, mate. And he was like, yeah, no.
Because you just think, how the fuck, how am I supposed to be prepared for that? Because obviously, stuff happened when we were younger, and like, and the adults made like a really big fucking deal out of it, but it's because they're not in it, they're not living it every day, so they don't understand. And it probably wasn't as bad as what they were making out. Like,
potentially,
because they're adults and they're only seeing stuff from the outside of it. As a child, like, going through it, it might not be that deep.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there are always scenarios when you're at school, because you're impressionable. You are kind of naturally vulnerable because you're going through puberty.
Yeah.
And things can seem massive.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah.
Like, so huge and deeply upset you. I mean, and they stick with you as well.
Yeah, they do.
But it just concerns me, the level of, like, ideology that's flying around.
Yeah. I'd love to, I don't know anybody, like, I don't have any, like, young family members that I could speak about this to. The level of, like, is this a thing? Is this what's, like, communicated in schools that, like...
Yeah.
It's like when they said about the 80-20 rule, I was like, fuck, what do you mean?
That was... I mean, I've heard that before.
Yeah, I've heard that.
That is probably the biggest crock of shit that I've heard for a while.
For anyone listening who's not watched it and doesn't know what the 80-20 rule is, it's the theory that, is it 80% of men are attracted, or is it... No, sorry, 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men, and in order for the rest of the men to get the women, they have to trick the women
into liking them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really funny because, as I said to Siân before, every girl I know has an ugly boyfriend. Really funny.
Has had or has or.
Yeah.
You know what?
Has been roasted for.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to be pretty. Have you seen some of the women that, like... have you seen some of the men that women are going out with? Oh my god. And I'm not about to pick on looks. I'm just saying.
It's fuck all to do with looks at the end of the day.
It's fuck all to do with looks.
And if, you know, you're speaking to somebody where looks is so fucking important, maybe they're not the fucking one for you anyway, mate.
Yeah.
Because the most nourishing relationships that I've had, whether that is friendships or whatever, have been based solely on who the fuck that person is. It's got absolutely shite all to do with what they look like.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
Yeah. 100%. Like, and what's really nice as well is that, like, particularly in our friendship group, we are all completely different.
Oh, yeah.
In the way that we look.
Yeah.
Completely different. Completely different. And also, I don't think it's rude of me to say, but some of us wouldn't touch other of us with a fucking barge pole.
I know, and that's actually really refreshing.
It's really nice.
It is actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we all fucking respect one another.
Yeah, we do. And like I say, it doesn't matter what any of us look like, and Lord knows. I mean, me and Shad have seen each other, like, really, really fucking hungover. So,
yeah, when we've been in the pits.
Yeah.
We look like we've literally been dragged out of a sewer.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
No. And I think, like you say, if your relationships are entirely based on how the other person looks...
I feel sorry for you, mate.
Yeah, I do.
I feel really bad for you.
Really, really bad. But yeah, like, you don't have to trick women into liking you. Women...
They will or they won't.
Yeah.
Do you know what? That's the bottom line. But the thing is, the lesson there is, you need to start liking you for who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
And stop basing your value on whether women fancy you.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. Like, I'm not being funny.
But then I'm blaming women for it as well. Right. Throw out the whole fucking Throw it out. Throw out the whole brain out, right? Have a fucking rethink.
Yeah. As someone as well, so when I was younger, boys didn't fancy me.
Oh, me neither.
I was just waiting for the track from the audience that we had. Yeah, really sad. But that didn't make me hate men.
No.
Even though, like, some of them were really fucking horrible to me as well, by the way, like, which, retrospectively, bastards. But I don't hate them because they're men. I hate them because they were bastards.
Yeah. I hate you for the content of your character.
Yeah. My hate is more well-rounded than just your gender.
Yeah, it is. It's way more justified.
But yeah, so like I say, as I was growing up, boys didn't fancy me. And it was probably only when I was like 18, 19... Actually, no, I'm lying. Just after I was, I think, 16, I got a boyfriend. Which I never thought would ever happen. Because, as well, like, when I was growing up, I had curly hair. Which, like, I know this is going to sound really fucking juvenile, and people are going to be like, oh, well, I had curly hair. But, like, it was a bit of not a big deal, but, like, everyone...
When we were kids,
everyone had fucking straight hair.
Yeah.
And there was me with, like, my curly, diffused hair.
It was not in fashion at the time.
I didn't know how to do my eyebrows either.
None of us did.
They'd just grown back after I'd plucked them halfway in year 8, and I had to have a front fringe, and then I got that grown out, and then my eyebrows came back. Woohoo! So yeah, I wasn't like fanciable, but I didn't let that decide. I
didn't resent the people that didn't fancy me.
No, exactly, and
in fact, it actually allowed me to be friends with them better.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. It made me develop friendships with men, which was great, because then they got to know me, and I got to know them, and it was kind of like, it was very safe.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like...
There was an agenda at hand.
And a lot of them that I got to know, probably like, how old am I now? 26, yeah. So like 10 years ago, when I was 16, because that's when I really started making friends. It wasn't in school, it was after school. That's when I started, like, making friends with, like, guys and girls.
Yeah.
Properly. I've still got those friendships.
Yeah.
And they've not changed. And they're, still very safe.
Yeah. They're the lasting and meaningful connections that you'll have.
Yeah. But again, I was friends with them because we had common interests. Like, the relationships were built on positive things rather than we all hate women.
Yeah. Maybe try and, like, the thing is, when you get out of that stage where you are feeling sort of vulnerable and you are impressionable.
Yeah.
You will, if you start valuing a bit about yourself, you will eventually find the people who are meant to be your people.
100%.
And those people, that group of people that are your, like, tribe, if you will, won't be based on who you collectively hate. It will be based on things that you collectively love.
100%.
And that's the way it should be. That is what you should be aiming for.
Yeah.
The danger comes when you join a group of people who collectively hate something and that's what drives them.
100%.
This is where the toxicity comes from.
Yeah. I mean, because, like I say, I'd say maybe people don't believe me. Maybe you look at me and think, oh yeah, that sounds about right. But I literally didn't really have any friends, solid friends, until I was about 16. So I had gone through, I'm not even joking, primary school, secondary school. It wasn't until I hit sixth form that I got actual friends, and they've been my friends for life. And we bonded over, a lot of the time was music.
Yeah.
And a love for spice rum.
Hell yeah.
And partying. And it was a lot of parties that I went to. I don't know how the hell I did it, but, like, I think what I initially did, I branched out with some people. I had, actually, no, I tell a lie. So I was in, someone's going to say, this is why I didn't have any fucking friends. I was in cadets.
Oh, God.
I was in air cadets.
Right.
Yeah, so everyone's like, that's why it makes sense.
God love.
So yeah, I didn't have like mates until really like Air Cadets, and then I met my now friends through other people at Air Cadets, and that's how I kind of made friends. And I kept going to parties and I kept showing up, and I got into like a bunch of stuff.
It's a new routine that you end up developing.
Yeah, I got into a bunch of stuff like and hobbies and interests that like these other people that I'd met were into, and like bonded over those things.
Yeah.
And it again very positive. But if you're not doing that and you're bonding over, we hate women, or
we hate this group of people or that group of people, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
That's not going to end well.
No, because it's like, I guess you get out what you put in, don't you? Like it's always going to be hateful. It's not like...
Yeah. That will become your routine then.
Yeah.
And that's when I feel like cognitive rewiring starts happening and you just become a hateful little bastard. Because that's what you've made the norm.
Yeah, I guess that's one way of putting it, yeah.
Sort it out, lad.
A hateful little bastard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know what the norm is for seeing women now, like, growing up. But I hope to God it's not what a certain bald-headed rat man spouts all over the internet. Which, by the way, right, if you worship the bald-headed rat man, which, by the way, again, I've seen better hairdos on a fucking tennis ball. Lad, and that's your alpha male, that's your god, right? Why does he, if he's so fucking alpha, why does he have to pay for sex? Why does he have to force women into, I guess, trafficking in order to solicit sex from them?
Yeah, Bethany, is it not a well-known fact that somebody who is really secure and successful has to run a human trafficking ring?
Well, maybe I should be doing it.
Honestly.
Jesus.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So, like, if he's that alpha, if he's that macho, if he's that red-pilled,
this terminology makes me want to fucking die, by the way.
Yeah, it does. If he's that much of a... Oh, God, I'm going to hate myself saying it. If he's that much of a Sigma...
have a day off. Fucking hell. Give your head a wobble, honestly.
Yeah.
You need to give your head a wobble. Because that's the dregs of the earth. That's not somebody that should be on a fucking pedestal.
Yeah.
This is the scum.
This is the thing, right? Because it's all right for me to sit here and go... Look in the way that I do and go... I hate that man.
Not even about it. Like, we're taking the piss about his appearance, whatever. I mean, that's just fair game. But...
But again...
What it's about, again, is the content of his character.
Yeah, it is. But again, like, they might look at me and think, oh, well, I'm not a high-value woman. High-value women? A high-value woman.
What does that even mean?
It basically means that, like... So...
Is this some alt-right bullshit again?
It is some alt-right bullshit. So basically, I guess a high-value woman would be somebody who's feminine, skinny, white...
Brilliant.
Probably blonde.
All right.
Is feminine within herself, but isn't a feminist. Not a feminist. Submissive.
Yeah.
Tradwife, homemaker, that sort of thing. So I am probably not a high value woman, and therefore my opinion probably doesn't fucking matter. Right, however, I'm getting laid on a regular basis, so.
Yeah, fair.
So bollocks to your opinion.
Yeah, fuck off. Wow.
But this is the thing, so I don't know, if it was me, and I understand why men fall into this trap, because it's validating. It's saying your problems aren't your problems are being made by somebody else, and it really flatters the ego. It's so much easier to not assume responsibility for something.
That's what's at the core of this.
Yeah. It is. It's really easy to turn around and go, actually...
None of this is my fault. Well, I didn't ask for this. Well, no, nobody asked for it.
No.
But at the end of the day, life isn't a fucking cakewalk. That's not even the saying.
Is it not?
Is it? I don't know.
A cakewalk, yeah. No,
it's not a walk in the park. It's not a slice of cake.
It's not any form of exercise.
No.
Or baked good.
That's it, yeah. Life is difficult. It's difficult for everybody for different reasons.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when it feels a bit shit, the onus, unfortunately, whether you like it or not, is on you to pull yourself out of it.
Yeah.
There are people around you that can help, or there might not be.
Yeah.
Either way, you've got to do it. You've got to be the one to make the decision.
Yeah.
It is easy to sort of blame somebody else and cry about it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But that's the behaviour of a toddler. That's called spitting your dummy out.
Mm.
And that is not how you survive as a fucking person.
No. The last episode, actually, of Adolescence does focus on the parental aspects of it.
Incredibly interesting, and I spent the whole thing in bits.
I'm really surprised, because, like...
Cried my eyes out.
I did cry at the end, mind you, because obviously the dad's there and he feels like he's failed his son. Dad's got a bit of a temper, but is dad's temper the reason why he's killed a girl? And the answer is no.
No,
it's not.
His dad you could see how fiery his dad was, but he wasn't, from what we saw.
No.
And how I interpreted it, he was never like aggressive with his wife or daughter.
No, he never touched.
He was angry at the situation about things that were happening.
Yeah.
And yes, scared them.
Yeah, he did intimidate them.
But he wasn't trying to intimidate them.
No.
It's just that he was very much struggling to handle the situation. I think anybody fucking would in that situation.
Yeah.
His son's just killed somebody. How do you handle that?
You don't.
You don't.
No. And then obviously, like, he sat there and, like, with his wife and the mulling over could they have done anything different? He spent a lot of time in his room alone, like they didn't know what media he was consuming. But also as a child, I spent a lot of time in my room alone consuming media.
Yeah. My mum and dad told me to watch Adolescence.
Yeah.
And they were having a conversation, and I think, my dad had said, this is why it's not a good idea for kids to be spending that much time in a room sort of on their own without interaction, which I do agree with. But then my mum was kind of like, yeah, but Siân went through quite a long phase in her life where she did that.
Yeah.
And she didn't turn out insane. I mean, I am insane, but like...
But not like kill somebody insane yet.
Yeah.
But like
not
in
toxic that, insane.
Yeah, not in that context.
No. It's very important, I think, especially after watching that episode. It was so difficult watching that episode and how it affected them. You have to parent the child that you have.
Yeah.
There isn't a handbook to parenting.
Nope.
Even being childless, I can completely fucking appreciate how difficult that is.
Yeah.
Because even if you raise 2 or 3 kids the same way, or more, whatever, they're not all going to turn out the same.
God, no. I mean, me and my sister are absolutely nothing. Not absolutely nothing alike. We've got obviously stuff in common, but like the way that our characters are different.
Yeah.
The way we're so different.
Yeah. So you've got to really, I suppose, keep an eye on the way that child processes information, the way that their emotions work as an individual, and how to tailor your approach to that and what they will and will not need help with.
And I guess like the way that you do that is by observing and spending time with your child, like
knowing them like the back of your hand.
Yeah, because like that second episode where they're at the school and the police officer is talking to his colleague, and he said that he never wanted kids.
Yeah.
And you can see in the episode that he doesn't have a particularly like close relationship with his son.
No.
But then, like towards the end of the episode, they go and get like chips together, and he spends time with him
because he realizes how dangerous it is to not be close and know your child.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is what can happen,
because the way that you know your child is by, I guess, like having conversations with them.
Yeah.
And seeing
difficult conversations as well.
Yeah. Open and honest conversations, and be like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?
Yeah.
And you
challenging the perspectives, I think, as well.
Yeah.
even when you think that, you know, your child holds an opinion that's a pretty decent opinion, and it's justified. I mean, the way I was raised was, for like a few years of my life, I didn't know what my dad's opinions on anything were. Because he used to always...
devil's advocate.
Yes. He used to always challenge whatever it was that I was saying.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even though at the time it was fucking infuriating, and we'd end up in heated discussions, that was so fucking good for my development.
Yeah, it
because
is.
Understanding the opposite of whatever argument or whatever opinion it is that you hold is so important to know what your actual opinion on something is.
Yes, I agree. Even in my household now, fuck if I know what my dad's opinion is on something. I've got like a rough idea, but I know he'll just say anything to have an argument with me. And you know what that ended up doing? Especially when I was a teenager, because they used to fuck me off so much. And like, I wanted to be right. And I wanted to acknowledge the facts. I wanted them to acknowledge the fact that I was right. And you know what it ended up doing? I ended up doing a fucking politics A-level, which then ended up deciding my fucking degree. And I did a degree in politics. You know what for? To prove my parents wrong. And that I was right. And you know what? I still don't win a fucking argument in the house.
But do you know what? The way that they've done it, clearly, has had a brilliant effect, because you are incredibly... You know, I mean, you've an incredible vocabulary. You know how to fucking pause an argument and understand the opposite side of an argument. That makes you a well-rounded person.
It is. It's great up until the fact that I won't leave it alone. And I need to be right.
Yeah, you're like a dog with a bone. Yeah, no, I mean, I get that. I do that.
Yeah, and it's really fucking annoying. Like, just let it go, Beth. Just let it go.
Right,
just
the conversation's over now, babe.
Yeah. It's dead funny moving back in with them as well, because, like, it's just brought out teenage me again. I'm having arguments over immigration, over tea. I just wanted to enjoy my spaghetti. But anyway, I think this kind of brings me on to, how do you re-educate people who might have got sucked into this? Because we have been focusing on boys and young girls in this like podcast episode. But there's also men and women who get sucked into this.
That get sucked into this kind of shit.
And I do get it, because it's adults who have particularly low self-esteem that I guess get sucked into this narrative, because again, it's so easy to blame somebody else for your problems rather than acknowledging that maybe there's some sort of development that you need to do.
Yeah, especially when you sort of feel like, oh, well, I've tried everything.
Yeah.
Because you're an adult and you've been through more, you've probably been through more shit as well.
Yeah.
And you feel like you've tried everything.
Yeah.
Then the next part of call can very well end up being, oh, well, it can't be my fault then.
Yeah. I think as a child, some stuff you can grow out of. But as an adult, you're kind of already there.
It's harder to...
It's harder to change. Harder to change, harder to learn, right? Especially if you're not willing. I think the best bit of advice actually came from your husband just before we started recording. And it was literally like, try and find people. Because there'll be other things that you haven't tapped into. Even in a small town like where we're from, find people based on stuff you love. So that's hobbies, interests. Particularly, like, I think like incels in particular have a reputation of being like introverted and nerdy. There are so many people that have really introverted, nerdy interests.
Yeah, people that often find sort of social interaction quite anxiety driven.
Yeah,
I don't know, I get it.
Yeah.
I really do.
I mean, I'd like to say I get it, but I don't. I've never heard of social anxiety. I don't know what it is.
No, babe, you haven't. No.
Honestly, I can't get embarrassed even if I tried at this point. But I understand for you, it's something you've struggled with.
Oh yeah, big time.
So, do things I think, in baby steps and be positive and give it a chance. I mean, like...
Do little things and do them often.
Yeah.
You don't have to make big grand gestures where I've got to find loads of people that like exactly the same things as me. No, that's a bit too far.
Yeah.
Just do little things every now and again.
Show up
for it, and maybe little things that are out of your comfort zone. And you might even, first time that you do it, you might even only spend 5 minutes and you're like, no, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And go home.
Yep.
That's fine.
Yep.
But you do it again next week.
You do.
No matter what.
You know what this has made me think of, actually? In terms of community and stuff around here, obviously there isn't absolutely loads. But, for example, I do know around here, because I'm slightly part of it, if not part of it, is that we have, like, the alternative community around here that is quite centred around music events, particularly at the meeting place.
Yeah.
It's like events that Rob puts on.
Yeah. We've met loads of people through that.
Loads of people. And I know how difficult it is to make friends as an adult. It really is.
Yeah.
And you've got to find, like, new and creative ways of doing it. But the good news is that as an adult, a lot of people are in the same boat as you. But for us, going to these events, I've met probably over 10 people, maybe even 20 people, some of which I'd consider friends. One is my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Now. And
there's people that go to those events who you can tell are full of anxiety.
Yeah.
When they first get there.
And you know what? I've actually met some people that have said, I've been showing up on my own for a while now and I didn't really know, like, what to kind of do. They're just showing up for the music, obviously.
Yeah, and get a drink and stand and watch music and go on, kind of thing. And
there are people that have found friendship groups off the back of it. How fucking nice is that?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. You find a pocket of something that is something that you like, that you love doing, or that you something that you really enjoy. There will be a pocket of people somewhere.
Yeah.
You might even have to travel a little bit.
Yep.
That are like you.
Yeah.
And they'll love the same thing that you do, and you will connect with them on some level.
Yeah. Do it on your own.
Yeah.
Do it scared.
Yep. Be scared. There's nothing wrong with that.
No. And do it for as long as you can do it, but give it a good fucking go. Because like I said,
give it its due.
Yeah, exactly. And if you enjoy doing it anyway, like,
it's not going to be too tenuous.
No, exactly.
Because it's something that you love doing.
That's exactly it. I think another thing is just be nice when you're doing it. Socialise, be nice, say hello.
Yeah.
It goes, like, a long way, and it kind of breaks you out of that thing of being in your own head for so long. I mean, it's so easy to shut off from the world and listen to all the voices on the internet. But the thing is that, like, those things just aren't real.
No, they're not.
It's not proper social interaction.
It's not practical.
No.
Half of the shit that these people peddle, it just isn't practical advice.
No.
It won't serve you in the long run.
No.
So, you know, please take some practical advice. Do what makes you scared a little bit.
Yeah.
And keep doing it, and do it little and often, and you will get there.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Yeah, you will. You'll just fall into it.
And if you're one of these people that think that you're weird, trust me, there's weirder.
Yeah.
There's always weirder. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, we know him.
Yeah, we do. It's us.
It's us. Oh God, yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's ended on, I guess, like, quite a positive note, I'd say. I didn't know, like, which way this episode was going to go, because obviously none of this is scripted, it's just me trying to spitballing for, like, an hour.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, I mean, like, we could go into, like, the nuances of how horrible everything is.
Mm-hmm. But that's not helpful. You know how horrible everything is.
Yeah. So I think the only thing that we can really do is just sort of sit here and be like, these are the things that you can do so that you don't feel like that, and then maybe you'll want to kill women a little bit less. Just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also on that note, please take advantage of mental health groups in your area.
Yeah.
I know there's a great one in Barrow, Andy's Man group. Is that what it's called?
My God, yeah, Andy's Man Group.
So please take advantage of that, because there are actually a few blokes that I've spoken to that have really got something great out of that.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's always your standard Samaritans and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's readily available.
Yeah.
Please just look after yourself, and please don't indulge yourself in the hatred of people for, well, very questionable reasons. There's not really any good reason for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think maybe on that note,
yeah,
I think this yappening has come to a lovely end.
This yappening's been happening.
It's happened. This yappen's happened.
It has indeed. Well, till next time.
Until next time.
We'll see you later.
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.
You're a prick.